Okay, everybody, I hope that you will listen to Johnny's advice and tune in to withoutyourhead.com.
Welcome to the station of decapitation without your head. I'm Nasty Neal.
I'm Treacherous Trista.
And we're joined by paranormal investigators Dakota Laden, Tanner Wiseman, and cameraman Alex Schroeder of Destination Fear, which premieres Saturday, October 24th, part of Ghostober on Travel Channel. It's very good to have everyone here.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate it.
And the return of Tanner and Dakota. I had you on a couple of years ago, or maybe it was last year.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were on last year, I believe.
Yeah.
When our first season came out. It was awesome.
So, it's a little different than some of the other shows because it's really about a fear, as you like describe it in the beginning of the show, Dakota. So over like 2 seasons now, have you learned anything about yourself and how you navigate fear? Or how does it have an effect on you?
Yeah, I mean, I would say one thing we've gotten better at as a group is not running from it all the time. I'd say that our first road trip, we would have an experience that shook us so bad that we would just leave the room and not really ever go back because we were so scared. I would say more than ever, we are getting so much better at just facing it head on, no matter what, no matter how scared we are. But the one thing I've learned about fear, I thought from the beginning that I would get better at facing my fear and experiencing fear and handling it. But it's actually the opposite, because the more we experience, the more encounters that we do have, I would say the scarier it actually gets, because now you know kind of what to expect at some of these places. You know what's possible now, and that's scary. So I've actually gotten worse at not being scared, but getting better at conquering fear.
Right. So the show is like damaging you. Maybe it's not the...
Yeah, you could say that. We've all had our nightmares, our fair share of nightmares, and yeah.
How is that then doing like a whole, during the road trip, so you do like so many in a row, by the time you get to the end, does that have effect on you? Like, each one, does it get worse, and does it kind of, have wear on you?
I'll have you guys answer too, but I would say personally that the first location that we went to this road trip really took us by surprise. We were not ready for a terrifying first night. So it took us a long time to bounce back from just our first night because it was so scary, so hard for us. And one thing that's kind of interesting is by the end of the trip, at our final location, we were having stuff happen to us that we had no explanation for. No one who had been to this location had anything like this happen. And so we even started speculating, like, could this be something that is like following us? Like, we just came from 7 of the scariest buildings in the country, and now we're having this happen. And it definitely messes with your head. I'd say, like, mentally, by the end of the trip, I'm a whole different person than I am at the beginning.
How about yourself, Tanner?
I completely agree with that statement. I think that there's times where you think about what happened in the past. Like for me at Sweet Springs, and I'm assuming with Alex at Fairfield, there's just been amazing moments where it completely shakes you to your core, and it's in the back of your head that whole entire time. So when you're wandering around these abandoned locations and some of the most haunted places in America, you're just waiting for that occurrence to happen again when it starts getting really quiet. And that's kind of the thing where you have to try to not psych yourself out and just kind of go with the moment. But I mean, going location after location after location in a whole entire road trip is, it's a pretty difficult task because it's 24 hours or, from night until morning in these locations. You get up and then you have to road trip all the way to the next one and do it again. So like, it definitely wears and tears at you, but at the same time, it's one of those things that we all love doing. And I don't think any of us would not want to do this because it's been fun, but it's also been so scary.
Alex, how did you get involved? Because I know Tanner and Dakota are friends, before doing the show.
I actually have been friends with them my whole life as well. I grew up right across the street from Dakota. So yeah, I've been, going to these places with them for a long time. When it came to the original documentary that they filmed back 5 years ago now, I was in college, so I couldn't make it. And I'm kicking myself now for that. I wish I could have gone. But, yeah, I've known them my whole life. So when it came down to this, Dakota asked me to be the cameraman for this. And I was, yeah.
Trista, you have a question?
Who in your group would you guys consider to be the most intuitive?
Ooh, that's tough. I would say Chelsea's very intuitive. We're all pretty intuitive, though. Like it's surprising to me what we pick up on every night. Some nights, Tanner or Alex are just picking up way more than any of us, me and Chelsea are. Some nights it's Chelsea. I don't know. What do you guys think?
I would say like we all kind of have our shining moments. It all depends on like the location. I would say Dakota really takes the lead when it comes down to just he usually picks most of the locations, so he has more of the info and he's able to take the lead on a lot of things. But like for some reason, I think Schroeder hears the most. Like he's able to just catch up on the small things and all the noises that you don't catch right away. And I don't know, Chelsea is very logical when it comes to trying to explain what's happening. She's trying to, I wouldn't say debunk it, but she's trying to figure out why this is happening and what's going on. And for me and Dakota, we speculate, okay, this must be a paranormal something, this something supernatural like that. But yeah, I think we all kind of rotate on that. I mean, sometimes people are grounded, sometimes the fear kind of overtakes you and you can't think straight.
The first episode of the season takes place at the Saratoga County homestead. And so I was wondering, outside even the paranormal, what are like the dangers of some of these places you go to?
Well, this location was a prime example of dangers that aren't just the paranormal. This location is just ridiculously run down. There were so many hallways that we had to be so careful. And if you went into the wrong room, you'd fall through the floorboards. So we really have to be careful of that in that regard. But there's buildings like the Saratoga County homestead that are so abandoned, so in the middle of nowhere, that this episode in particular, we had such a terrifying experience. And it was a whole different type of fear because we were speculating on whether it was someone actually breaking in, either a group of people or one person, or the paranormal. And what I captured on camera didn't help us any further. I captured something, the best capture I've ever gotten, but we still don't know. That's one of the dangers too, is the fact that there might be people who know the layout of this building way more than we do, who happen to know that we're there or see that we're there and try to scare us. We don't know if that's what it was still, but that was something we did encounter the first night, was the possibility of someone else being there.
Alex, have you ever had any either injuries or just like anything bad happen, even just outside the paranormal while you're manning the camera?
There's been a few times where I've rolled my ankle walking and, stepped in a hole that I didn't see and like kind of stumbled for a second, but nothing too serious. I've dropped the camera once. That was bad. But yeah, no injuries to myself.
Yeah, there's been times where at least everyone has bumped into something. It's so dark in there. We're only using flashlights, and also we're trying to focus on our cameras to make sure that like we're getting a good shot. So I mean, there's times where you're just walking and you're looking at the camera and you just run into something scary happens. You try to run away. You run into a door or something like that. Like it's so hard to maneuver in a pitch black place. So there's been times where all of us have at least bumped into something before, but nothing too serious.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's good. Trista, another question?
Is there anything else you guys can tell us about what we can expect from the rest of the season?
Yeah, I think everyone probably has a few things they want to talk about. For me, it would just be, I am so excited about the locations we were allowed to go to. 3 out of the 8 have never been seen on TV, they've never allowed anyone inside with permission to spend the night. So we were the first, and that's something I really, really take pride in. I love when we get to go to a building that no one's been in, just because I feel like the energy there is a lot more intense because not a lot of people have been through. But yeah, we went to the Saratoga County Homestead, which is a sanitarium. That's our first episode. So excited for people to see that. We also went to a distillery this season, which we've never done anything like that before. And then we got a hospital too, an abandoned hospital in West Virginia for our finale that's never been seen. And so that's my big takeaway. That's what I loved about this season.
Tanner, do you have any highlights or something you want people to look forward to?
I mean, I got to pick a location this time around, and I got to pick like my dream location, like the place I've always wanted to go ever since I was a kid. Am I allowed to say it? Can I say
Just
it?
say it. Just say it.
All right. So I got to pick Trans-Allegheny, and we finally got to go to that place, and it is like the one spot I've always wanted to go to. The story alone is intense. The things that happen in there, just the location itself. There's so many buildings. The land is huge, and like there's some like just buildings off to the side from the main building that are as big as some of the locations that we go to. So when we split up that night, we're in massive, massive places. And what happened there is like, it made it so worth it. It made it like, it was exactly what I wanted to happen if we went to this place. It's, I can't wait for people to see that one.
Yeah, that's the Trans-Allegheny Lunatic Asylum in West Virginia.
Yeah.
It's very iconic.
In your opinion, what makes a place prime to be haunted or paranormal activity there?
I would say dark history always, I think, adds to the haunting. There has to be death of some sort, and that's why we go to a lot of prisons, asylums, hospitals, sanitariums, just because there was so much death and violence at these places, and abuse and torture, and a lot of, unfortunately, I feel like negative. When you have such a bad thing happen to you in life, it usually means you are angry in the afterlife. And I would say those types of locations really are, I feel, the most haunted.
Completely.
For anyone here about that, you said about negative things. Would you say that hauntings are primarily a negative thing, like that they're there for a negative reason?
It's hard to tell because we've had so many encounters that scared us because it's so unnatural to see or hear something that we experience. But at the end of the day, there are times where we're like, yeah, that was very scary, but was it trying to scare us out or was it just trying to say hi? Like, it's hard to tell sometimes.
I mean, an example of that, Dakota, is Rolling Hills Asylum.
Mm-hmm. That's true. We went to the Rolling Hills Asylum this road trip, which is my location choice, and it was like the first asylum. I feel like we were very surprised by the haunting. There wasn't really anything dark or evil that we encountered. There was a lot of positive, in the light type stuff. It was still scary. You'll see. I mean, we still got scared, but this was one of the first times we went to an asylum that we felt like, wow, this was not a dark, heavy experience, which was kind of nice.
Right. And there's been some times where it's like a residual thing where it's almost like something is just doing what it would be doing in everyday life, and it has no malice. It has nothing against anyone. It doesn't matter that we're in its space. It's just almost going on throughout its day. I mean, like in Sweet Springs, like all of a sudden me and Alex, we heard just chatter up on the third floor, and it just sounded like the place was just running. And you can't say that was evil. You can't say that was an angry something. It was just whatever energy making noises like if it was just running in everyday life.
Trista, you have another question?
Tanner and Dakota already touched on some of their favorite locations, but I was wondering if Alexander had any.
Yeah, so this road trip, I actually got to pick my first location ever and surprised them. I picked, can I say the location?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, so I picked Old Idaho State Penitentiary, and it was a really cool location. Like, the history of it's really awesome, and it's out in the middle of nowhere, mountains in the background. But the one thing about it that I really liked that I did is, so we do the hat draw at the end of the night, and we all sleep alone, and we pull a location out of the hat, and that's where we have to spend the rest of the night by ourselves. Well, I totally broke the format on this, and I don't want to give away what I did, but let's just say it's a lot different than any other episode.
It was very apparent that we were in Alex's location choice. The rules totally changed. You threw,
Yeah.
He did so many things that I have never done to you guys, and you just threw major curveballs the whole night.
I definitely had Dakota in my crosshairs. I was trying to test him the most.
You definitely did.
Yeah.
It got me.
Alex,
Yeah.
complete control this time around. It was awesome.
Yeah.
I want to say the
There was
setup.
each-
The setup of the show is kind of like those memes that go like they'll show a picture of an abandoned building and say, "Would you spend a night here for X amount of dollars or whatever?" It's kind of this is the show version of those memes.
Totally.
Yeah.
It was just funny though, because like every night we have a lot of challenges. We always sleep alone. Every once in a while, I'll throw a challenge at them, or Tanner will. But it was just so funny. Wait till you see Alex's episode. It's unlike any of the other ones because of how it was torturous. Even you were just like putting us through things. Or I had to take a step back. I'm like, dang. I guess the rules have changed. We can start doing this now.
I mean, someone had to do it at some point.
It's true. It's true.
It's true.
Interesting. And I want to know about the Ovulus because I've actually not seen that before. Am I pronouncing it right? It's the device that
Yeah, the Ovulus.
Yep.
Yeah, it's a device that I've had experience with in the past when I worked on Ghost Adventures, and I took it with me to this because I always found it very interesting. And it's got a word database inside of it, and it's believed that spirits can manipulate frequencies. So the theory is that they can use that device to choose one word at a time to try to convey a message. And sometimes we don't get any luck with the Ovulus. We go into a building for hours and just get nothing. But there are several times this season where back-to-back responses make way too much sense for it to be a coincidence. And it's become one of our favorite devices because it's so intelligent. I feel like it's so easy to communicate through that thing that we get some of our best responses.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
I won't give away much of the show, but season premiere was pretty wild, your use of it.
Yeah, right? I mean, wait until you see what Tanner and Chelsea get with that Ovulus after what we experienced as a group. It doesn't make any sense. It's pretty odd.
Uh-huh.
One of my favorite things to use when we go on the overnights because, like Dakota said, there's times where it doesn't say anything and you are trying to use it for 2 hours, and it just proves that, you know, it doesn't work every time or whatever doesn't want to communicate with you. But on the other hand, there's times where it'll just respond to every single question you have, and you're almost having a conversation and the answers are spot on. And yeah, like you said, the first episode gives the best example of why we bring the Ovulus in, because we get some incredible responses from it.
Trista, another question?
Who is the biggest scaredy cat in the
Oh gosh, I'll just say right now, I'm not a good. I'm a pretty big wimp. So
I would say I'm a pretty good example of Scaredy Cat, too.
Yeah,
So you're all scaredy cats?
yeah.
we're all
Professional
professional.
scaredy cats.
Very impressive.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I guess the show wouldn't work if no one was a scaredy cat.
Yeah. I mean, there's times where we all can show some bravery, but most of the time we're just professional scaredy cats.
Yeah, most of the time we just get behind Tanner.
So October 24th is the season premiere, part of Ghostober on the Travel Channel. And what do you think it is about the paranormal that keeps people? I mean, people are interested in this stuff. What do you think it is about it?
I think for me, it's been around for so long. So many different cultures have such rich beliefs in the spiritual world that it's hard to deny that it's been around forever. And I also think that so many people have stories. Either you have a personal story or you know someone close to you that has a personal story. And so I just feel like everyone has some sort of a story they know of or have experienced, and that just makes you that much more interested.
And I do, Alex, were you interested in this before doing the show?
I've always been interested in the paranormal. I have my own personal stories about the house that I grew up in. But going to abandoned buildings and kind of doing that urban exploring thing has always been something that all three of us, and including Chelsea, so all of us really loved to do when we were younger. So yeah, exploring abandoned buildings and then just add the paranormal, the fear factor on top of that and the adrenaline rush. It's something that I really do enjoy.
Yeah. I'm a guy who, when I was a kid, I used to like to go to abandoned places, and I still wander around in the woods at night.
Yeah.
I can relate to that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fun.
Well, very cool. Well, we appreciate you guys being on today.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
Yeah, thank you.
For having us.
All right. Check out Destination Fear, and thanks for being on.
Thank you, guys.
And have a happy Halloween. Yeah.
Yeah, happy Halloween, guys.
Yeah, happy Halloween.
Stay safe.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, you too.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.
All right, we'll see you guys.
Bye.
See you guys next time.
Exactly.
Oh, hi there. This is Roger Ward. You probably know me from Mad Max or whatever. Played Fifi, and you are watching Without Your Head. But I gotta say, you and me, Max, we're gonna give them back the heroes.